A YouTuber named Adrian Bustamante documents yet another night of paranormal activity in his apartment to prove once and for all it's haunted. There are a few different paranormal videos on his channel, but March 9th of 2017 is when the best paranormal evidence yet is caught on camera. He doesn't have ghost hunting equipment, but he is still able to pin down the supernatural activity to one corner of the room. It isn't long before he gets all of the paranormal proof he needs. It looks like the object's moving by itself, but at 1 minute and 45 seconds, I'm almost positive there's a string tied around the bottom of the glass vase. My overall analysis is that Adrian's probably moving the object himself, but your opinion can help me decide if this paranormal evidence is fake or real. Shawnee Explores takes a Ouija board into the forest and places it just outside of a haunted cottage where a man took the life of his spouse. It isn't long before his electromagnetic frequency reader starts going crazy, so he and his friends know they are in the right place and set up the board. Soon they are channeling the spirit of a small boy who only refers to himself by the initials SF. They ask the boy for his age and some other questions, but apparently it's only interested in trying to warn them about a hidden danger. RUN it spells, so they get out of there fast without properly ending the ceremony. When Shawnee Explores remembers that he needs to select goodbye or risk becoming possessed, he discovers that he can't move the pointer without an extreme amount of force. It's almost as if something is not letting him move. You can see the pointer barely moving despite Shawnee pressing very hard, but I guess he could be pressing straight down instead of forward to create this illusion. I think this video is probably real, but I can't tell for sure, so give me your best guess and let's figure it out together. A Spanish-speaking YouTube channel called Fearless Omar Crew pairs up with Ricky Velasquez to track down what they are calling the most cursed witch in the world. Silently watching from within a hideout in the middle of the woods is a dark figure. Their high-powered survival flashlight does nothing to brighten its face, even when shined directly in the window. They should run away screaming for help then and there because, I mean, nobody wants to get a curse after all. But the group decides to go on the offensive and confront whoever or whatever is inside. Waiting for them is this creepy doll pointing their way. Again, running away and getting help seems like the smartest possible option at this point, but they instead walk around while actually holding the doll, checking every hiding spot possible. Then they hear this disembodied voice in an area that they just looked in moments before.
¿Quién eres?
I think it might be the witch taunting them further. Perhaps the doll was not pointing at them earlier, but rather at someone behind them. Anyway, as they are trying to make sense of the situation, this noise scatters their thoughts. If you speak Spanish, please give us a rundown on their conversation before this happens, as well as their reaction after.
Es que si oigo mejor. Luego cuando estoy agarrando el celular me pongo una, pero ahorita si me puedo poner las dos.
That absolutely sounded like a cackle of a witch taking enjoyment in their fear, or at least a woman who lost her mind long ago. Maybe whoever was laughing was also placing a powerful curse on them both, one that I hope does not extend to me and you. Remember that footage of the raging Eagle Creek forest fire? Just imagine being in the middle of it. Driving right through the very center. While driving, I can only imagine they're wondering whether or not they'll live through this horror, or maybe they've already gone to the other side. In the video, you can barely see the road as smoke rises all over and hellish fire springs up along the roadside. Sparks of embers fly across the windshield, making the viewer feel like they're in the center of a fire pit. You can also see specks of black ash flick across the window. Finally, they make it onto the main road and make a break for it. Although it's still very smoky, slowly but surely the smoke vanishes as they escape the fire zone. That was one scary and wild ride. An older brother is trying to show his younger sibling that Bloody Mary is not real. Now the two of them are alone in the bathroom to test this theory out. They say her name 3 times in the dark, and when they turn the lights back on, they mistakenly think they are safe.
Open, move. See? It's all over. See, that's gonna happen.
This live broadcast captures what appears to be an impossible error on camera. Watch the news anchor on the left and see what happens. Here it is again in slow motion in case you missed it. Everything from a hologram to an alien has been proposed, but I guess it could be some kind of camera malfunction. Maybe someone who knows more about cameras can let me know if this is a technical malfunction or not. This home surveillance footage has been circulating around the internet, but I'm trying to figure out if it's fake or did this woman have her home surveillance hacked? After all, there have been many cases of that happening over the last couple years. If that's the case, it's super scary to think this woman is being watched by an unknown person without her knowledge, and without any context. You would never know that scenario is a real possibility. What do you think? Is this real or fake? Based out of the southern city of D'Armanville, Exploring Alabama is a YouTube channel that takes on the creepiest abandoned places in the entire state. One such video is an abandoned church that's in the early stages of decay. Inside is a mess but still structurally sound. Some rooms are too dark and creepy for him to willingly go into, so he mostly stays in the more well-lit areas and continues to explore until he gets his share of footage. As he's leaving, something compels him to take one last look in the main room, and that's when he records it. Some are calling this a mysterious creature, while others say this is only a stray cat and nothing more. It's too far away to tell for certain, but I think it's interesting and worth talking about. So what do you think? A YouTuber named The Legends TV is exploring a tunnel at 3 a.m. when he comes across a stenciled message on the wall. It's a rant about someone who doesn't want to take their medicine or live in a hospital anymore, perhaps made by someone who escaped an institution and now lives down here. To further support this theory, they find a lone baby doll laying in the dirty water, and tucked under the doll's arm is a steel blade. For all I know, this could be a trap set by someone who is not right in the head. They go only a little deeper and find this red clump of what appears to be matted hair stuck to the wall, almost like someone's scalp. If you've ever wondered what La Llorona sounds like, elcacoy.tv has the answer for you. Luckily, she's not there in the shower.
Pedo. Madre mía. Juro que escuché aquí. Juro que. No mames, chinga tu madre. Mames.
And she sounds a lot nearer in the end, so she must be leaving. At least I hope that's the case for the person behind the camera. Vintage footage recovered from Michigan shows creepy things in the woods, scary stuff that you and I were never meant to see. Things get weird when the family dog begins guarding them and tracking smells. Something out here has had the animal on high alert for the whole time. Whatever it is has apparently gotten close to camp the night before. On their final day, they decide to let the dog roam as far as it wants. It tracks a scent deep into the forest where they've caught a scary unknown creature sighting on camera that I'm not sure they survived. The animal looks like a bear, but runs like something completely different. We only get a glimpse of it before the cameraman runs, but in those scary moments, some say that this is a sighting of the Michigan Dogman, a legendary humanoid creature lurking in the woods. Dogman or not, it has a pretty good head start on them. This does not look like a warning charge, therefore I would not be surprised if this creepy vintage video was found in the woods many years later. An Uber driver is taking home 2 passengers when a car they have never seen before overtakes them on the left and then puts on the brakes. Before anyone has the chance to make sense of the situation, the other driver is already hurrying over. He taps on the window and orders the Uber driver to get out of his car, which makes the passengers panic.
What's going on?
I don't know.
What is that?
What's that?
You blew the right leg. Get the out of the car.
Just
not
go,
getting
just
out
go,
of the car.
go, just go around.
Thinking fast, the Uber driver takes the right course of action by not getting out of his vehicle, driving away instead. They manage to escape and are ready to forget about the whole incident when they see his high beams on them again. That's when they make the second smart decision and get the police on the phone.
Call 911.
Make a left
Oh my
here.
God. Make a left here. Our car is
Following us.
And he bangs on the window and said, get out of the car to the driver.
Eventually, they get pulled over and explain everything to an officer, who proceeds to speed away after dispatching a description of the vehicle to all other units.
It's hard for him to open the doors because they don't know how to open the door with the Tesla.
That's good.
So that actually worked.
Okay, so see, now that's another
Did he
benefit.
try to open the
Yes,
door?
yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
The car that was chasing them is still nearby, and the driver is charged with being under the influence. Kudos to the driver for keeping his passengers safe and not responding with aggression himself. Had he gotten out of the car and into an altercation, he could have been charged with something or made the situation worse. Police in Michigan need to find a woman who has fallen from a dock through the ice before it's too late. The officer comes across 2 fishermen holding on to a poor woman who fears for her life. If they let go, she's going under. There's little time left. She's freezing. Hypothermia is the name for a dangerous drop in body temperature. From prolonged exposure to cold, you can lose your life from it in as little as 5 minutes.
You got a hold of her?
Signs of hypothermia include red skin, fatigue,
Losing her strength.
and numbness.
Take a hand. Take the other one.
Completely numb.
So it's not looking good for her. Her core body temperature is lowering. Her organs are slowly turning off to preserve heat and protect the brain. They have one last chance to save her.
It's too hard. We can't. Come on. All right, stay right here. Stay right here.
I'm stuck.
Grab a hold. 1, 2, 3. Up. Ah.
The police take over and get the job done in moments. One of the fishermen, an older gentleman, is absolutely exhausted and unable to stand by the time it's through. He and his friend are absolute heroes for not letting go until the police arrived, which actually took 15 minutes but to them felt like 5. The woman later said she was starting to lose consciousness, a sure sign that she couldn't have withstanded much longer in that cold water. Hopefully we can all learn from the scariest moments of her life and always be careful when fishing on the dock. Had other people not been around to help, she would have been lost beneath the ice. J Squad family and a friend are taking an Uber ride from a party to a hotel. The driver slowly starts to make him feel very uncomfortable, so his friend begins recording the interaction for both evidence and their personal safety. The driver asks about J Squad's girlfriend and makes other weird personal comments throughout the conversation, like this one for example.
But you're not the word that they said. You're so much more than that. Yeah, thank you. You're so welcome.
J Squad isn't sure what to say, so he just kind of goes along. That is, until the driver stops following the GPS instructions and goes in the completely wrong direction.
Do you think you should turn to... Yeah, I probably should. Oh my god. I knew I was gonna... I knew it. Well, good. Thank you.
He promises to get J Squad back to his hotel, but there's something in his voice that I find very insincere and maybe even slightly menacing. Eventually, the friend in the backseat nervously says,
Anyways, I'm so tired. Yeah.
"I'm so tethered," which I think means that he feels so trapped right now. J Squad nods in silent agreement. The driver does not pick up on any of this and keeps talking. Eventually, the driver gets noticeably perturbed, and he stops talking to them completely for a while.
Listen to the radio.
His music selection sounds like something Norman Bates would choose and only serves to creep them out even more. Then, without warning, he makes a startling demand.
Guys, feel free to sing along. Keep that camera on too.
At this point, he has noticed the camera and sarcastically tells them to keep recording. J Squad quickly tells him to pull over at a random street and they get out safely. Who knows what would have happened to them if they didn't have the quick wits to start recording the situation. Franco TV is one of the few ghost hunters I've come across who isn't afraid to investigate solo. In fact, he prefers it. Charging into the middle of the action and staying put is his style. Rarely does he run. On September 7th, 2018, Franco TV goes to an abandoned house that's way out in the Florida forest. I can't tell you the exact location, but I can tell you the name, the Edison house. What's inside leaves him a sweat-soaked mess. The address is so secret that he had to track down some of the previous owners to find it, and since no one can stand living here for more than a few months, there were plenty of previous owners to choose from. It was accidentally built over a gravesite according to them. And that's all they will say because it's so cursed that just talking about it could possibly bring about years of misfortune. None of this concerns Franco enough to keep him from going inside. Through the condemned door is a trashed interior that fills the investigator with the type of dread that burns stronger with every step. Everything about it feels off and wrong in a way he can't explain. Past a crumbling kitchen is a small kid's room that feels colder than the rest of the house. And as he's reading but not adhering to the simple instructions on the wall,
Get out.
he hears the giggle of a child. The laughter comes from behind him, practically in his ear, and he turns against a wall with a mysterious red stain that looks like it's squirted out of someone's neck. Across from him, this witch-like face appears against the window. It's most visible at approximately 3 minutes and 12 seconds, eyes and all. Undeterred, he goes to where it was standing and looks inside the room he was just in. As he's doing this, the same face now regards him through a crack in the doorway at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. It doesn't look like it's part of the door, but I guess it could be. The upstairs is cramped and uncomfortably hot. Down the hall is a red handprint that could belong to a child, except it's too high up on the wall. Perhaps they were struggling with someone trying not to be carried into this room. As Franco stares into the room, dozens of comments point out this figure staring back out at him from within the closet, just like the far wall says. I couldn't really see anything at first, but when I did, I suddenly wished I didn't try so hard. Something's there. Franco doesn't spend much time in this room because he gets an especially bad feeling, but one thing I noticed was this jet black spirit orb float up towards him and disappear. That's not a bug. The anxiety he gets from the second floor is a little too much, even for him, and look what happens when he goes back downstairs.
I'm hearing all sorts of noises everywhere and I don't have no cover at all, and I'm in the middle of the forest. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why it's going to be a little bit weird for me, because I can't deal with that.
This just so happens to be one of the only times he films behind him, so maybe this part is set up. Anyway, this was back when a supernatural challenge called Charlie Charlie was popular, and so he decides to play around before calling it quits. He sets up 2 pencils and waits for the ghost to respond.
Is there anyone in this house right now? Is there anyone that's
I don't know about you, but I see no string.
Do you wish me to leave this area?
A closer look under the light at 9 minutes and 17 seconds shows that nothing is tied around the pencil at all. He follows its advice and goes outside. By now, Franco is soaked in sweat and still hearing movements that I don't think he's making up because they sound too far away, deeper in the forest.
And from there, from there I'm gonna head home. After that, I'm done. I gotta get out of here.
Part of him wants to leave, but he knows he has to explore the surrounding property because it's where more spirits roam around their unmarked graves. While staring out into the wilderness, he hears them.
What the is that?
It's not traffic because there's no roads out here, and exactly 2 seconds later it's accompanied by a voice warning him never to return.
Holy crap.
Advice that Franco TV decides to take as he walks away from the Edison house with the blank, horrified stare of a man who has been shown far too much. A TikToker named Mark Anthony catches this strange activity at a post office after hours. Some kind of hanging display swings all by itself while an identical display stays still. I think it could just be blowing under an AC vent, but then again, in the very beginning you can see all of the other wall displays in the other doors stay still, so it is weird that out of all of these, only one moves. The International Space Station is a floating research base built by NASA that orbits around the world. This footage was taken from cameras on the outside, and it has led many people to believe that NASA accidentally live-streamed alien contact on television. Everything looks normal when all of a sudden, a small number of UFOs casually travel from right to left across the screen. Stranger still is how NASA suddenly cuts away to a wide shot of the mission control room when this happens. They later claimed that the UFOs were ice particles, but perhaps there is another explanation. Something is manifesting in this abandoned hospital. YouTuber Lalo Escalante captured this creepy entity on camera during a paranormal investigation. The spirit there does not want to let them in.
Haz algo, pues. No mames, güey, yo me voy a la mierda aquí, güey. No, güey. No, yo me voy, güey. No, el tercer piso está más cabrón.
But it is there. See it lurking at the end of this hallway?
¿Qué es eso? Hola. Viste a la verga, güey. Viste a la verga, güey. Dale, güey. Dale, nadie, güey.
When they enter the room, they find nothing, but the spirit continues to play. And then they see it again.
¿Está aquí con nosotros? Hola. La tenía, güey.
But it always somehow evades them. The spirit again disappears.
Hey, ¿qué estamos hablando? Bestia, güey. ¿Quién está ahí?
Only to make one last spooky cameo. What does this spirit want? To me, it's difficult to tell if this is even a spirit at all. It looks solid and moves like a human. Then again, it disappears in a way that's unbelievable. It could go either way for me. What do you think is going on here? Twin Paranormal is a channel started by two brothers, Ryan and River. They first encountered the paranormal when they and their parents moved into an old house in Reno, Nevada. Since then, they have been dedicated to finding answers. Since their channel started in April 2018, they gained 91.4k subscribers and have released hundreds of videos detailing their investigations. Their videos are of high production quality, resembling feature documentaries akin to ghost adventures. Furthermore, they have various series on the go pertaining to different themes. In January 2021, the crew of Twin Paranormal released their first series regarding family hauntings. By request, they came to the aid of the Kemp family of Las Vegas. The couple have several objects in their home who belonged to passed away relatives. something they believe could be a link to the haunting, as explained by Nicole and her partner Matthew. Her daughter has been speaking to unseen figures. She has been observed blowing kisses to the air and saying she is talking to someone named Lean. This has led to speculation she is speaking to Matthew's passed away grandmother, Colleen. Matthew explains he was close to his grandmother, but there was tension between her and Matthew's parents. Her passing had a profound negative impact on Matthew, and he descended into depression. Now, strange things are happening in the Kemp family home. 2 pieces of memorabilia belonging to Colleen, including a pair of taxidermy longhorns, which she loved and cherished, and a sign reading Munchkin, which used to hang up in the bar she owned. Nicole discussed how the strange happenings were infrequent at first, but are now occurring several times a day. She also started developing severe anxiety shortly after moving in, resulting in panic attacks and at one point a seizure, despite never having them before nor having a history of epilepsy in the family. Furthermore, Nicole's son started sleepwalking, often having night terrors when happening. The crew starts off their investigation simply by introducing themselves and asking a series of questions without equipment. Not long after this session begins.
Can you make a noise in here for us?
What? Did you hear something?
Yeah.
Couple knocks.
A mysterious knock is heard from nearby. This proves some sort of intelligence and what is haunting the home, as it is right after the team asks for it to make a noise. Intrigued, Ryan puts on headphones to listen through a parabolic microphone and asks why the entity is here. A faint whisper can be heard, followed immediately by one of the team's devices going off. Unfortunately, it is hard to hear what is being whispered, or whether it was the device itself.
Why is she the only one able to see you?
Religion.
As Ryan is asking why only the daughter can see it, the answer he gets doesn't make any sense. Ryan asks if it intends to hurt the family, and warns if it is, then it isn't welcome.
Are you here to hurt this family? Because if you are, then you are not welcome here. Oh my, just got the chills.
Through the EVP device, the team captures a thump sound, like something dropped or was brushed against. Furthermore, the team starts to feel chills and a drastic shift in the energy of the home. Ryan soon gets another intelligent response when naming Nicole and Matthew out loud. After saying Matthew's name, a faint voice can be heard saying yeah.
Her boyfriend's name is Matt.
The crew is able to hear it with their own ears, and all visibly reacted to hearing it.
Are you connected to Matt, Nicole's boyfriend?
When asking if the entity is connected to Nicole or Matt, through the EVP, Ryan hears what sounds like, "I can't." All this occurs within the first 10 minutes of the investigation. None of the crew's reactions come off as fake or forced, and all remain relatively calm throughout the first session, which makes these events quite believable in my opinion. Douglas Daniel has caught 2 scary moments on camera. One is pretty obvious, while the other is for the most observant eye, so don't blink.
Here goes home!
A rock slide bangs a barrier open before this guy even has a chance to take their hands out of his pockets to protect himself. And if that was one of the smaller rocks, think about what any of the larger ones would have done to him. He isn't the only lucky person in this video. A rock climber is right next to the action when the rocks let loose. I wonder if something they did caused this to happen. If so, I can only imagine how bad they would have felt. if somebody got hurt because of their mistake. This haunted home has visible spirits stalking about. Published by A Sip of Fear in January of 2022, an unsettling figure was captured in the glass during this paranormal investigation. After setting up some cameras in this haunted home, activity begins pretty quickly. A wardrobe door is captured opening and closing, and later a bang causes the paranormal investigator to jump out of his skin. In another room, a stationary camera captures a figure's reflection in the glass door of a shelf. And again, the wardrobe door opens and closes repeatedly. Is this spirit trying to tell us something? Or does she just want to be left alone? A YouTube channel called Secret Guides puts out this video in 2017, claiming it was video evidence of paranormal poltergeist activity sent to them by a subscriber who was living in a very haunted place.
See, this is what I get all the time. Do you hear that? The banging? I'm the only person in this flat right now. I don't even know where it's coming from.
They creep around their apartment as more weird things are caught on camera, each moment creepier than the last.
What is that?
The scary noises won't cease, and now the television has turned on.
Where did that even come from? What is that?
A shadow figure silently slinks across the doorway, and when he goes into the next room to investigate, it's gone.
It's definitely... Oh God, you saw that, right? That looked like a human. There's no one here.
This creepy video looks convincingly paranormal, but when I emailed Secret Guides to find out more, he told me they've since discovered the video was fake. Apparently a second person was walking around making the knocking noises and turning on the television. As for the shadow figure sighting, notice how they never checked this side of the room. Their friend must have been hiding in the corner where they never looked. I have no reason not to believe what he says, so I guess this video is really made up. If you see this video somewhere else, now you know the real story. An important lesson to take away from this video is not to be immediately fooled by a high-resolution ghost sighting. And don't feel bad if you were fooled, because I was too. A man in South Dakota questions whether this spooky CCTV video is genuine paranormal activity or something else. It looks like it absolutely has to be the wind at first, except for 3 things. 1. The window's closed. 2. The blue curtain doesn't move at all whatsoever, which it should be doing if this really was the wind. 3. At 18 seconds it looks like a ghostly handprint is pushing against the curtain when zoomed in. There is a large space at the bottom that is blocked from view and unaccounted for. Somebody could be laying down there and hit the curtain with their hand, in which case this strange video has just been successfully debunked. But I guess we'll never know if that was the case or not. This cat is playfully smacking around a Brillo pad when it stops to look straight up, ears back, completely frozen, almost as if someone invisible is standing over it. Next, an orb floats upwards and makes it jump straight into the air. After a while, the house pet regains interest in its toy, only to stop and look around again, slightly bewildered. It looks at its owner briefly and then follows the orb with its head in a swooping motion. Possibly the very same orb as before. There's no doubt that the cat sees something out of the ordinary as it tracks the orb perfectly. Both times it completely loses interest in the toy and seems somewhat alarmed over an unseen presence. I guess there could be some other explanation, but if I was alone and saw all of this going on, I would definitely question if my house was haunted. A YouTuber named Daniel Ott performs a summoning ritual that quickly comes to a close after he begins to feel weird. In doing so, he accidentally records a strange moving light while describing how bad he feels.
I don't know, my body, it just doesn't feel right now. I've just been hearing things.
It might be trails of light left by the paranormal, or it could just be light reflecting off the chandeliers as he crosses the dining room. But still, as soon as he walks into the next room, this fleeting shadow appears on the wall. It could belong to him, but the angles don't quite match up.
Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the video. I'm not sure if I'm probably gonna make another one of these.
One of these experiences could be easily explained away, but having both of them happen back to back is almost too much of a coincidence for me to believe, especially after a summoning ritual. Posted to the r/Chills Narrator subreddit, Redditor Sufficient Wish 3111 was on a Discord call with a friend when something mysterious happened. He writes, "Buddy, I literally have no idea what happened here. I went into a Discord call with a friend, and just as we started talking, some weird light flashed and blinded me for a second. I always have NVIDIA Shadow Play on, so I decided to save and share this with you. Maybe you have the answer." I can certainly see what he is talking about. There's a massive flash of light that illuminates the entire room, and just as quickly as it appears, it's gone. Both men are clearly surprised by the ordeal, and I'm not sure what could have caused it. Perhaps a power surge? Let me know what you think happened here. Diane thinks she has caught a ghost on video crossing her living room around 3 a.m. The ghost is a woman with long hair whose back is turned. For months, Diane has been feeling something paranormal in her house, and if you look closely, you'll see her cat Noah wake up and look to where the ghost of a weird woman just walked by. There are no other paranormal videos on Diane's channel at all. The rest is 3 years of content about a niche hobby that has nothing to do with the spirit world, which makes me think it could be a real paranormal incident. With that said, I found another video that shows she roughly has the same hair length as the woman who says she was a ghost, so I'm on the fence with this one. This video is simply called Path of the Banshee. A man is walking all by himself down a bleak path with rows of trees reaching out for him from both sides. He spots something in the distance and freezes. Some people claim that the scream is fake and edited in. Even so, plenty of people say that they can see a figure in white robes in the distance. Do you see anything like that when he zooms in? Also, if you can identify if that scream is from a video game or a movie or something, then please let me know. Maybe together we can prove if this video is fake or real once and for all. Reddit user Pentax25 says that his dad captured something rather unnerving on his porch camera late at night on a breezy April evening. The OP says he has no idea what exactly was captured and is in need of second opinions. Take a look at this piece of footage and make sure your volume is up relatively high. That's chilling. I just wasn't expecting that scream there. That was absolutely terrifying. Really caught me off guard. Especially just that one lone scream in the middle of the night. And apparently something else is also captured here. Right there, just those very faint whispers. So that's just absolutely bizarre, this whole video between that one scream. And I know the usual explanation when it comes to these screams is, oh, it's like a fox or some sort of animal. What really I think makes this video terrifying is that that can't be the case, because there's also these very distinct whispers heard. But obviously that scream is by far just the scariest part of this video. Let's play that back one more time. Just absolutely terrifying. And there are the whispers. The video goes on for about another full minute after the last sound can be heard, but sadly, or luckily depending on how you look at it, no other sounds can be heard afterward. Opinions on what was making these terrifying noises are divided, with some saying that it could just be something simple like a fox roaming around late at night through the neighborhood or some other animal, but as you can expect, others are thinking that it could be that of a skinwalker, a creature in Navajo folklore that is said to be a dangerous witch that has the distinct ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. Looking at this video footage, that description seems eerily accurate. Mysterious, unexplained lights were recently sighted over Brazil, just north of Rio de Janeiro. The diagonal formation of strange lights stretches into the night sky and blinks in and out of sight. It's not a constellation because there are no stars in the sky, just these strange, unexplained lights that slowly move to the right and glow a fierce red when the camera zooms in. As the camera moves across the city to show there are no stars, they see more strange lights in the sky. These ones closer to Earth, a large column of lights at 56 seconds that should not be there at all. It looks like it could be a building, but according to them it's not. More lights seem to drop and lower to the ground, but it's too far away to tell. When he zooms out, he is surprised to find most of the skylights are already gone. This happened on June 24th of 2020, and if you're wondering why I was never reported on the news, maybe it's because we were never supposed to find out. Described by Redditor Yeezus_C as footage of something. I'm going to play you this video so you can see what that something is. Pulled from security footage, an office chair is captured spinning on its own, and toward the end of the clip, it makes a final turn. Those in the comments have several theories. Well, I think it could be any one of these theories. I wouldn't rule out a passed away office worker with an axe to grind. I can picture a horror movie about it already.
Leo Mayo, you out here?
Spectators gaze overhead at a bizarre white light piercing the sky. Adults and children alike gather in the street with their cell phones out. None of them can figure out what is going on, much less put the situation into words. The whole ordeal almost looks like a helicopter searchlight, except that it makes no noise and does not move at all. A NASA experiment or even a portal to an alternate dimension are two more possibilities, however unlikely they may be. Whatever this is, it happened somewhere over California in October of 2018 and has never been properly explained. William Hernandez has a serious problem to deal with. He claims that every day the same red truck pulls over in front of his home and watches him and his wife. William finally breaks down and sets up a CCTV system for proof. The very next day, the same red truck stops across the street right after they pull into the driveway, almost like he followed them home. William calmly snaps a photo of the driver's license plate, and the truck quickly takes off. He's posted numerous updates to his channel since this incident, but it's unclear if he was ever able to identify who was watching him and his family. A YouTuber named Rose of Decay records a scary Snapchat face swap video that leaves her wondering if she had a real ghost encounter.
Hi. Are you bad?
What's really creepy is how this mirror image kind of has her eyes, but at the same time they're all black. The bizarre face goes away for a while and then comes back as soon as she has a question.
Can you talk to me?
This time the apparition has its mouth open wide as if screaming. It's probably just a software glitch detecting a face in the mirror that isn't there. So I don't think it's necessarily real, but I don't see anything that remotely looks like a face. So hey, that's real enough to me. Seeing an alternative version of yourself scream while no one is there is definitely creepy nonetheless. A YouTuber named Mondo Rene is walking his dog when he sees a neighbor who he doesn't particularly get along with. He is complaining about the entire neighborhood in general when the neighbor pulls in way too close.
Look at this. What the f is your problem? I'm calling the cops. You.
They actually drove into the garage door where Mondo Rene was just standing and then does a 3-point turn. They were trying to make him scared for sure, but over what I just don't know. The point is they could have easily drove into Mondo and his dog if they didn't step out of the way. This footage was reportedly taken on a flight somewhere over Zambia. A person is casually recording out their window when a giant humanoid creature starts to materialize in the distance. The creature seems to keep pace and ride alongside them for a moment before disengaging and twisting away. The obvious answer to this is CGI. If it's not CGI, however, then what this creature could be is anyone's guess. A YouTuber in Louisiana named Barris Bash tries to stay positive as his entire neighborhood fills with water, with everyone still trapped inside. What starts as some water in his backyard soon enters the home and becomes a total crisis. The YouTuber has the right attitude by not panicking. He puts on a brave face as he makes a video to help relieve the stress. At the same time, I can't help but notice the TV is still on. It's pretty high off the ground, but I think they should have shut off all power because any charge could electrify the very water that they're standing in.
Keep the water around your house. Not that bad.
Eventually, when the water gets too high, they escape via canoe and row to dry land. If the family didn't have this canoe, then they would have been at the mercy of a rescue or one of their neighbors. An outdoor restaurant is about to be creepy, and it's all caught on CCTV tape. This top right couple seems to be having an intense conversation. At 10 seconds, there's some chest pounding on both sides. It looks like a bad breakup or something until 25 seconds when he stands up and is ready to storm out, but then points at the food lodged in his throat. They weren't having an argument at all. He was slowly becoming more and more unable to breathe. She starts patting him on the back, but apparently this is a big mistake. I am not giving any medical advice, but the Mayo Clinic says not to do this unless you're trained to deliver a special back blow between the shoulder blades. From what I've read, patting someone on the back can sometimes make the food move further down the windpipe and get even more stuck. A brave restaurant worker gets behind him, makes a fist with one hand slightly above the belly button, grabs his fist and gives a quick upward thrust as if picking him off the ground for a moment. This is called the Heimlich maneuver, and it's a good thing somebody in the restaurant knew it. Most states have laws in place for restaurant staff to have this kind of training, and this scary scenario caught on tape is exactly why. I encourage everyone to get the proper training because you never know when this could happen to someone nearby, maybe even you. There must be no scarier feeling than having an entire crowd watch you helplessly while you can't breathe. This man who helped him is truly a hero. A 4-year-old is happily drinking his juice until for some reason the straw stops working. His protective parents get a bad feeling and curiously inspect the package to see what's wrong.
And this is what it's inside. Nasty.
A thick green clump of sludge clings to the bottom and blocks the straw. Slowly, they realize their child has been unknowingly sucking on what could be a giant floating piece of moldy gel. As if that wasn't bad enough, the father flips it over with a straw to reveal an even worse looking underside.
Ew.
Oh my god. Again. Look at that.
The alien-looking growth is probably loaded with bacteria and far from safe to consume. So if you've ever been enjoying a packaged drink and the straw stopped working, I guess you now know a reason why. Can 2 separate security cameras glitch at once? Or is this the Matrix revisited? Posted to the very spooky video subreddit, a woman in Colombia appears to have vanished, and her vanishing act was captured from 2 angles. From one angle, she is walking down the sidewalk. She pauses for a moment, then walks a bit more before suddenly zapping from view. A second video captures her at an angle from the front. Again, she walks forward before disappearing into thin air at the corner of the sidewalk. Did she just teleport to another dimension? Some in the comments think this was just CCTV taking photos every few seconds, which were sped up for viewing. That way the girl could have disappeared in the so-called vanishing act. Others think this girl obviously has the gift of invisibility. What do you think is going on here? Let me know in the comments. The paranormal boys experience crazy paranormal activity in this place frozen in time. As they're speaking to the spirits, they hear something.
Did you hear that?
That was definitely a knock. Later, using a spirit box app, they capture this. As they continue speaking, they're sent some terrifying messages.
If you're in this room, can you affect some of the devices we put down? Where are you, Tom? Was that Ben?
And then the spirits respond directly.
Copy this. You joking me? Did you hear that?
Still, it warns them.
Hey? Yeah, it's just sitting in the middle of the sofa. What was that? Dead. Dead?
There's someone upstairs.
Can you hear that up there? Living. Can you hear that up there? Living.
Since the team won't listen to the spirit's warnings, it takes matters into its own hands.
I thought you pushed my arm then. Something just... Jeffrey. Something just pushed my arm.
What pushed his arm? I think it was Jeffrey. But in the end, it could be any one of the demons haunting this place. A paranormal investigation channel called Ghosts of Britain think they've met their match while exploring one of the scariest haunted places in their corner of the world. An abandoned house with an unsettling atmosphere and more creepy things in it than you can imagine. On the table, they find creepy pictures left behind by someone young. A family must have lived here. The drawing and the lone meat hook in the corner do not pair well. Somehow I doubt that it was used to hang plants. They lay down a motion detector next to a toy for whoever made the picture to play with.
We want to try and make sense out of this place. We want to know about its history.
It isn't long before someone takes them up on their creepy invitation, and that's when things get really scary even for a team of ghost hunters.
Brianna.
Did you see that? The bear was just pushed over. The bear was just pushed over.
Away, but I heard it.
Do you know what? People are going to scream fake at this, you know?
They think no one will believe this ghost video is real, but I think it's possible. Their equipment reads out the word Brianna, and then the toy falls over like a paranormal entity trying to pick it up. If it was on a string, then the object should have fallen towards them, but it doesn't. It falls the opposite way. Perhaps the ghost of someone small is still trapped in this abandoned house, or at least that's what the evidence would suggest. It's after hours at a hardware store when this red balloon floats into view for no reason at all. The store owner doesn't notice anything out of the ordinary. As he makes his way to a shelf to price some items, the balloon stays in place for approximately 15 seconds, which is already weird enough, but then once his back is turned, it steadily moves in his direction and even slowly floats to eye level, where it stays behind him for a long time. When he still doesn't notice, it actually floats around to cut him off. According to the owner, the air conditioning was turned off and there was no draft in the building, so there really should be no way for this balloon to be moved at all. Besides, he doesn't even sell them to begin with, and has no idea how one floated into a closed store. This old VHS tape of a girl dancing is definitely paranormal, at least if you believe what the uploader Sharon Bailey has to say. First, an orb floats up towards the child between the 13 and 14 second mark. Shortly afterwards, a strange mist fills the air. Maybe it's something else, but I'm not sure because it seems to specifically wrap itself around the child. The last part is what has Sharon convinced that this is paranormal. She says that there were no other children in the house, but 31 seconds into the video, another little girl runs by at full speed. Her footsteps don't make a single sound. Take a listen. The camera was picking up little coughs and other background noise, so it definitely should have recorded running footsteps. Also, neither the dancing girl nor the dog seem to notice anyone is running straight towards them. A YouTuber named JackCKXX is exploring an abandoned factory with some friends when they come across stairs leading to the upper levels. Something feels incredibly off about the place, but none of them want to look like the scared ones, so they all move deeper into the complex. They search around for a few minutes and don't find much besides an old picture. The factory has been abandoned for well over a decade, yet it feels like something is watching and following them at every turn. Finally, one of them has had enough and doesn't care about being brave anymore. He looks down a pitch black hallway and says,
"Oh, Jack, I think we should leave."
Now they are sure something is nearby and they start speaking in hushed whispers. It's hard to tell what they are saying, but it's clear that they are quite ready to get out of here. Meanwhile, whatever is watching them from the shadows is no longer worried about staying quiet and seems to be approaching fast. There's nothing left to do except find the nearest exit and get out, but everyone is too scared to think anymore and they remain frozen in place, listening in terror as footsteps draw near. Finally, something scares them into immediate action. They all run as fast as they can and quickly make it out of the factory in less than a minute. I have no idea what could make that noise, but I'm almost positive it wasn't human. Outside of their apartment, a husband and wife capture a strange reflection in the window that is too curious to ignore. They grab an infrared camera, and this mysterious, unexplained video is what they've caught on tape.
There's like a picture of an old woman. There's nobody sitting there.
Yeah, isn't that bizarre?
At the very beginning of this video, 3 seconds in to be precise, a full zoom does appear to have caught a possibly real ghost sighting on video in greater detail. You can discern a tuft of her white hair, the folds of her robe, her older looking face, and what direction she is facing, theirs. As soon as they turn on the lights for a better look, the figure is gone.
That was bizarre. There's same window. Same window, and there's nothing there now, no matter what I do. Bizarre.
And when he switches the camera back into infrared mode, the mode he first detected the spirit with, it does not return.
There's infrared. Right there in that curve. I know it. I know it, right on that side. It's back to normal. There's just nothing there.
It's almost as if nothing was ever there to begin with, and yet the paranormal evidence caught on camera proves at one point there was. Maybe they were holding something up to the glass to make it reflect this image and took it away, though I don't know what that something would be. If you're out paddleboarding, watch your sea legs. Published in April of 2022, YBS Youngbloods writes, "A humbling reminder for myself that it's their ocean and I'm just a visitor. The paddleboarder is at first enamored with a giant sea turtle.
Turtle, big turtle. I'm right in the thick of it. Oh no! Oh!
But soon that excitement turns to panic. A huge shark is seen making his way over and passes below the man's board. When the shark does this, the last place you'd want to be right now is in the water. While many in the comments are panicking, commenter Jethro X has a different perspective. He writes, "For anyone wondering, this is just how we have fun in Australia. Build it and they will come, but maybe you don't really want them to come after all." Published by Grant Kopek in October of 2020. Something creepy calls this Cornfield home. Captured on a Ring camera, a homeowner is seen walking outside at night on the farm, but appears not to notice the enormous creature escaping from the cornfield. In the background, as the man walks past, the large blurred figure moves from the cornfield toward a big garage to the left. It disappears behind some shadow in the background. Many in the comments think this is a ghost or an extraterrestrial, while others think it's simply a reflection from the man's jacket, although it very well could be the latter. YouTuber Master of None offers some great advice for the farmer. Don't sleep ever again. If I lived beside that cornfield, I'd have to say I'd be doing the same thing. When something goes bump in the night, you just better hope you're not working the night shift. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by MX Theory of Dogs. The Redditor writes, "Friend works for a pharmacy as security. He was notified the alarm was going off at 2 a.m., which is triggered by internal sensors. He arrived and found nothing wrong, but reviewed the footage to find the cause and saw this." He said this was the security guard's first encounter with the paranormal, if it is in fact paranormal activity. The footage shows a shelving unit pressed up against a wall, full of products and assumedly medicine. Watch the fourth shelf. Several items can be seen falling with force. One hits the ground and skids away out of sight. The other hits the ground and appears to break into 6 separate rectangular pieces. While most in the comments of this video are cracking pharmacy jokes, some are asking thoughtful questions about the history of the building, or whether or not something like this has happened in the past. Others who say they're pharmacists or caregivers claim this strange stuff happens all the time in their line of work. Allison333, however, gets the last laugh, writing, "I guess you can say they had a short shelf life. We see what you did there, Allison." When you're an urban explorer planning to explore an abandoned building, be prepared to find it occupied. All Around Lifestyle published this video in December of 2015. Mike wrote, "Me and a mate went exploring in a grain elevator, which is located in Poland in a city called Warklaw. The footage was captured on a GoPro Silver 3 edition. After exploring the cellar and several other floors, they explore the grounds. There are several other small buildings in the area, and as they approach one of them, they hear voices.
So you can hear there's someone in there.
This building is as dilapidated as the rest of them, rubble on the ground, but in the far room, the guys distinctly hear several voices. Mike enters the small building, and when the people in question appear in the far doorway, he asks in Polish if he can record there. One man says yes, but another says no and tells him to leave now. Mike explains afterwards that he believes the people in the abandoned buildings were living there. Don't know about you, but I wouldn't want to run into anyone in this remote place. Beware of where the Randonautica app may lead, published to TikTok by Haley AIG in August of 2020. The app led this unfortunate group into a forest, and they weren't alone. Haley explains that the app took them to a park in the middle of nowhere. As the camera pans around, she notes that they've only seen trees so far, but they seem to have missed this figure poking its head out from behind one of those trees as they wander across a wooden bridge. This forlorn, dark-haired figure dressed in black crosses the path at the end of a dirt road. The girls wander on, and all you can see is the ground for a moment as they wonder if they're being followed, and then it's clear that they are. While many TikTokers are loving this, Austin Payton writes, "I may or may not have fallen off of my bed," while others claim that their souls left their bodies and they threw their phones across the room. Haley writes, "I deleted the Randonautica app after. That's probably for the best." When requesting that a spirit manifest itself, you'd better be ready. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit by On Behalf of the Gesture. This is what happens when you provoke a ghost. After inviting a ghost in a giant empty warehouse to manifest itself, the Redditor asks the spirit not to scare him too badly. The ghost only heard the first half, appearing in the form of smoke or dust or vapor of some kind. It shocks the Redditor so much that he quickly backs up and turns to leave. He's lucky he did. Who knows what was waiting for him in the darkness? I have really no explanation for this one other than the paranormal, so that's what I'm going with. Here's another ninja cat caught on tape trying to capture a ghost. Daryl Zen published this video in 2012 with the description, "Just a little video of my buddy taping his possessed cat. Also has a ghost orb flash by. The cat starts up in the corner of the door frame. Next to the ceiling, she is looking all over, looking towards the ceiling and balanced between two door frames, just as one of the cat owners says, 'What's she going to do?' A blue streak, the orb in question, flies across the camera lens from the upper right of the screen to the lower left. The man who's filming notices it and says it was weird.
What's she gonna do?
Now that was weird.
But his partner didn't see it. Did the couple's cat sense the ghost in the room? Is that why he'd ninja his way to the top of the door frames? It's more than possible. However, some skeptics in the comments section say that the cat is acting perfectly normal and that the orb looks like a paper airplane. What do you think?
I like screaming or something in this tunnel. I'm gonna go check it out.
You may think you're ready for this list, but some scary videos you're just not meant to see. The boy in this video says he hears something in this tunnel that sounds to him like a scream, so he decides to go investigate. But no, the boy enters the darkness with nothing but a void at the end of it. For a while, all you hear is his own footsteps. Then you hear this. Sounds like Alien vs. Predator up in here. The kid stops for a moment, and in that quiet, a couple footsteps splash through the water. He then says hello to the creature he cannot see before heading forward again, but he doesn't get very far. The rattling sound echoes throughout the tunnel before the thing starts to screech in a way that makes your insides tremble. As he runs, the creature quiets for a time but lets out a final terrifying screech as the boy exits the tunnel, likely wondering what in the world he almost happened upon. Is this for real? If so, what lies in the depths of this underground? Dark Dominator thinks it's the rake, while the last one suggests it's a feral hog, but I've never heard a rattle like that from a hog before. Lesson learned. The next time you hear screaming in the darkness, it's best to run in the opposite direction. A parenting channel called the Mommy Wayopedia has thousands of subscribers who are looking for heartwarming family videos. Paranormal content is not what they seek, and I don't think she's playing around when she uploaded a rather realistic ghost sighting video for fans to analyze. So here's the background story on this video. She's been seeing some weird things on CCTV camera for the past week or so, but never had the phone nearby to record and doesn't have a memory card for the camera, so she waited near the CCTV monitor for a couple of days for the paranormal entity to return, and this creepy sighting of a mysterious figure is what she has since caught on camera. The mother tries to keep the fear out of her voice as she tells her son to keep reading a book out loud.
Oh,
you read the book, baby.
Okay.
She doesn't want to scare him. She can't take her eyes off what she sees. Seated on the ground facing the courtyard on the first floor is this exquisitely eerie ghost sighting. A woman with long hair and a gown. She's across from the main entrance waiting for them to come out. The see-through figure does not move, but look closely and at 10 seconds, you'll see this object across from the ghost is moving all by itself, or maybe it's the wind. The Mommy Wayopedia has no idea what this ghost wants from her or her family, and is seeking advice on what to do next. I would say this is a camera glitch, but she's been seeing it on different monitors across different places, so it appears to be an actual ghost. With that in mind, the only thing left to do is either confront it or hope it goes away, and I'm not sure if either is going to get her any peace. Warning, if you summon La Llorona, prepare for the worst. While investigating the Hinsdale house, YouTuber Mo Sargi summoned the Weeping Woman, and he lived to regret it. While speaking through a spirit box, he received some answers.
Was there actually an exorcism here? Oh my, that was a yes.
And like an evil, like it was mad.
But the interview is cut short.
Was it a priest? Behind you, behind you! What? Behind you! Something just appeared behind you! Something just appeared behind you!
What?
Like a mist, like a white mist. Holy
I don't blame him. I'd be done too if I'd just seen La Llorona in the flesh. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Master Allen 73, this Redditor wrote, "Me and my girlfriend are asleep at 3:55 a.m. when the door closes on its own. There is a door stopper holding it in place. I'm always very skeptical of the paranormal and other footage I have captured, but this one." Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about. There was certainly some debates about this video in the comments. ASAP Rab wrote, "I'm sure you've noticed, but just after 31 seconds, there's some kind of particle or orb going straight up near the bathroom entrance. Creepy footage." And the uploader replied saying, "Honestly, I had not noticed it. I'd been concentrating on the door looking for shadows." While TCG Games wrote, "How many days do you wake up and your door is closed? Was the heater or the air conditioner on? Has this happened in the past?" And the uploader replied saying no, this was the first time in 8 months. With or without the AC running, it's never closed on its own. Can you think of any other explanation for this footage? I think there's a good chance there's a ghost also in this bedroom. Knock knock. Who's there? Published by C's Crazy Crossroads in March of 2022. C is exploring a random creepy house in the woods that looks like it's abandoned. But is it? Chris and Joe first hear this ruckus coming from another room. He says the drain cover moved.
This freaking thing just moved.
What is it? A drain, like, cover thing.
Later, as he's capturing footage of walls that have been punched in and the wallpaper torn off, his camera light keeps shutting off despite having good battery life.
If I could get my light going again.
Alright, there's still battery life on my light and it keeps shutting off in here for some reason. Yep, this light on top.
He then hears something break, and then his light goes out again. Is something unpleasantly paranormal lingering here? Unseen. It seems like Chris and Joe got out just in time.
Let's say 36 or... That was weird. And the light went out. Alright.
This one will make you scream and give you nightmares. Posted by Sarmy127 in September of 2007. This YouTube video went so viral that it prompted this YouTuber to create a pantry ghost documentary. Sarmy writes, "It has been 5 months since the last sighting of the ghost in my pantry. I filmed the door myself at 12:34 every night for 4 months, waiting for some paranormal activity. On September 19th, I capture what may be the first real ghost video proof. So let's take a look at this proof. The beginning of the video shows the pantry door opening of its own accord in the darkness. The man filming walks towards the door and shuts it, and as he backs away, a freaky figure presses its face and hands against the glass of the door. As he backs up, the horrifying thing disappears for some reason. He then approaches the door again, jerking it open, but there's nothing there. The contents within the pantry appear untouched. Did your hair stand on end? Did you scream? Some in the comments of this video did. This video had me afraid of what might be lurking behind the closed doors in my plate. It's 5:36 in the morning. Hours before anyone should be inside of the Safety Harbor Public Library in Florida. Everything looks to be in order until this book goes flying off the shelf for absolutely no reason. The opening librarian was surprised to find a book lying perfectly balanced on the floor the next day. So they checked the security camera only to find this strange occurrence. Even if this was set up and someone was standing on the other side of the shelf to push a book to the ground, there's no way they could have made the book balance perfectly on its side like that. It really is as if a poltergeist purposefully made the book land in that position, so as to attract as much fearful suspicion as possible. And apparently it worked. Virtual places always seem to attract hauntings. Posted by Calligram to the Chills Narrator subreddit. This one will give you the chills. According to the clip's description, what you're about to see is a ghost caught on tape at a church. The video of this gloomy, ghost-like young woman is somewhat blurred. She stands with her hands together, and at times appears as though she's moving. Although the film's quality is indeed lacking, the figure's mouth and head do certainly look as though they're animated, as she stands unmoving in the window. Being that this was filmed at a church, it's reasonable to believe that the ghost is a statue of Mary or some other saint. Still, the seeming movement and grotesque faces the statue appears to make certainly are unsettling. Many in the comments agree that it's likely a statue, perhaps behind distorted glass. Others, like Redditor 6Spice, suggest it's a reflection of a statue on glass. Finebase4 points out that the image appears as though it's moving a little, however, and he thought for a moment it was a real person. Redditor Vixen Ross drops some knowledge, suggesting that it might be an accidental Pepper's ghost. She explains, Pepper's ghost was a technique invented so theaters could make the illusion of a ghost. Doing this requires a reverse-operated optical beam splitter, which blends two images into the audience's perspective. The splitter might be a simple sheet of glass invisible to the audience. One scene's image is transmitted through the glass, while the other scene's image is reflected from the glass towards the audience. With proper stage lighting, the scenes are lit via controls, blending the images together, and the objects lit can appear or vanish at the whim of the lighting effect. The Pepper's ghost technique might explain the statue's appearance and its seeming movement. What do you think? Take your time to decide. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.